everyone, my name is Daniela and I'm a volunteer with For a Safer Space. Today's presentation will be on personality disorders. I would like to begin this presentation with a land acknowledgement. I am conducting this presentation on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island. While it is important to acknowledge which land I'm on, it is equally as important to understand why we engage in a land acknowledgement. First, acknowledging the land is an act of decolonization. Decolonization is an act that aims to reverse colonialism. It is also significant in understanding history and acknowledging history, as well as showing respect for indigenous peoples and their relationship to the land. However, it is important to not only use the land acknowledgement, but to educate ourselves on historical and current issues, stand with indigenous peoples in the pursuit of social justice, and decolonize our thoughts and actions. Today's agenda will include a brief introduction followed by what are personality disorders, types of personality disorders, statistics, risk factors, treatment, misconceptions about personality disorders, coping with personality disorders, supporting someone living with a personality disorder, supporting a client, and to conclude, resources and key takeaways will be discussed. Personality disorder is a mental health disability where someone has firm and maladaptive patterns of thinking, functioning, and behaving. There are various types of personality disorders which are grouped into three clusters: Cluster A, Cluster B, and Cluster C personality disorders. Anyone can develop a personality disorder, but genetic and environmental factors can play a major role in the development of the mental health disabilities. However, there are ways to adaptively manage and cope with personality disorders. What are personality disorders? A personality disorder is a mental health disability where someone has firm and maladaptive patterns of thinking, functioning, and behaving. Individuals who live with a personality disorder can have difficulties perceiving or relating to particular situations or other individuals. This results in challenges within relationships, socializing, work, and school, among other areas of daily living. Personality disorders can develop in the teenage years or early adulthood. There are various types of personality disorders, and sometimes may become more hidden as individuals grow older. This next section will cover types of personality disorders. As personality disorders are divided into three clusters, the three parts of this section will cover Cluster A personality disorders, Cluster B personality disorders, and Cluster C personality disorders. Cluster A personality disorders. This cluster describes personality disorders that result in odd, eccentric thinking and behaviors. The personality disorders in this cluster include paranoid personality disorder, schizoid personality disorder, and schizotypal personality disorder. Paranoid personality disorder consists of strong distrust and suspicions of others and their intentions, unjustified belief that others intend harm to the individuals or are aiming to deceive them, unjustified suspicion of the loyalty or trust that can be given to others. Individuals may be hesitant to open up to others due to anxieties that the information will later be used against them. They may perceive non-threatening and innocent situations or statements as personal insults or attacks. They can be angry or hostile in reacting to what is believed to be an insult. Often may hold grudges, and the unjustified and repeated suspicion that a partner is cheating. Schizoid personality disorder is characterized by no interest in social or personal relationships resulting in the preference of being alone. There may be a minimal range of emotional expression, a lack of ability to take enjoyment out of most activities, a lack of ability to understand commonly used social cues. Individuals may be perceived to be cold or indifferent to others, and there may be minimal or a lack of interest in sex with another person. And finally, in Cluster A is schizotypal personality disorder, which describes odd dress, thinking, beliefs, speech, or behavior, perceptual experiences that differ from the norm. For example, this can include hearing a voice whisper their name. Emotions may be flat, and emotional responses may not be appropriate for the given situation. Individuals may have social anxiety or a lack of or discomfort with close relationships. Indifferent, inappropriate, or suspicious reactions to others. They may experience what is known as magical thinking. This describes the belief that one can influence people and events through their thoughts. And finally, the belief that certain incidents or events have hidden messages meant only for the individual. Cluster B personality disorders. This cluster describes personality disorders that result dramatic increases in emotional responses or unpredictable thinking and behaviors. The particular personality disorders in Cluster B include Antisocial Personality Disorder, Borderline Personality Disorder, Histrionic Personality Disorder, and Narcissistic Personality Disorder. The first type we will look at is Antisocial Personality Disorder, which consists of a disregard for other individuals' feelings or needs, consistent lying, stealing, the use of an alias, or deceiving others, consistent challenges with the law, consistent violations of others' rights, aggressive, sometimes violent behavior. There may be the disregard for the safety and well-being of themselves or others. They can be impulsive, irresponsible, and often the individual may not feel remorse for any harmful behaviors. The next type is Borderline Personality Disorder, which often describes impulsive and risky behaviors. This can show up through engaging in unsafe sex, gambling, or binge eating. There may be unstable or fragile self-image, unstable and intense relationships. There can be mood shifts which can act as a reaction to interpersonal stress. There may be suicidal behavior or threats around self-injury, strong feelings of anxiety around being alone or abandoned, continuous feelings of emptiness, consistent, strong displays of anger, and there may be cycling stress-related paranoia. Histrionic personality disorder can be classified by consistent attention-seeking behavior, displays strongly emotional, dramatic, or sexually provocative behaviors in an aim for attention. Individuals may often speak dramatically with strong opinions without having facts or details to prove statements. They may be influenced by others easily. Emotions can shift quickly. There may be strong concerns around physical appearance and beliefs that relationships with others are closer than they are. The final cluster, B type, is Narcissistic Personality Disorder, which consists of beliefs that one is special and more significant than others. They may have fantasies of power, success, and attractiveness. There may be a lack of an ability to acknowledge others' needs and feelings. They may exaggerate their own achievements or talents, expect others to consistently comment on, praise, or admire them. There may be arrogance. They can often take advantage of others with unreasonable expectations, and they may envy others or believe that others envy them. Cluster C, Personality Disorders. This cluster describes personality disorders that result in anxious, fearful thinking or behaviors. The particular personality disorders in Cluster B include Avoidant Personality Disorder, Dependent Personality Disorder, and Obsessive-Compulsive Personality Disorder. The first type in this cluster is Avoidant Personality Disorder, which consists of an increased sensitivity to criticism and rejection, feelings of inadequacy, inferiority, or unattractiveness, tendencies to avoid work activities that have interactions with others, anxieties around social situations leading to avoidance of new activities or meeting new people. There may be strong shyness in social situations and relationships, and finally anxieties around the possibility of disapproval, embarrassment, or ridicule. Then there is Dependent Personality Disorder, which commonly shows strong dependence on others and the feelings that they need to be taken care of. There may be clinginess shown towards others, anxieties around having to take care of oneself if left alone. There may be minimal self-confidence, often needing a lot of advice or reassurance from others to make decisions. Individuals may have challenges beginning or completing projects by themselves due to little to no self-confidence. There may be challenges disagreeing with others due to worries of disapproval. Individuals may put up with poor or abusive behaviors from others, even if other options are accessible. And there may be a strong need to begin new relationships when another close relationship has ended. And finally, there is Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder, which demonstrates individuals being distracted by details, orderliness, and rules. Strong perfectionism, which can lead to dysfunction and distress if perfectionism is not attained. For instance, this can lead to challenges finishing a particular project due to the lack of being able to meet one's own standards. There may be a need to be in control of others, tasks, or situations, and a lack of being able to separate tasks. Individuals may unintentionally avoid loved ones due to strong commitments to work or a particular project. They may have challenges with throwing away broken or worthless objects. They may be rigid, and they cannot be flexible with morality, ethics, or values. And finally, there is a strong need to control budgets and spending money. It is important to note that obsessive-compulsive personality disorder is different from obsessive-compulsive disorder, which is a type of anxiety disorder. Now we will look over a few statistics to see how many people are impacted by personality disorders. Anyone can develop a personality disorder, however, they can impact people differently. As personality disorders start during teenage years, the majority of those diagnosed with personality disorders are older than 18. However, this does not include antisocial personality disorder, where 80% of those who develop this mental health disability demonstrate symptoms by the time they are 11 years old. Antisocial personality disorder is more likely to impact those assigned male at birth. However, borderline, histrionic, and dependent personality disorders are more likely to impact those assigned female at birth. As well, about 9% of adults in the United States have a personality disorder, and approximately 6% of people worldwide have one. Borderline personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder are the most prevalent within this population. Risk factors. There are various risk factors that can play a role in the development of personality disorders, which can be classified into genetics, parenting, or peer impacts. The first risk factor is genetics, where studies show that some genetic factors play a role. One study found that with obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, individuals can have a malfunctioning gene present, while other studies are looking into genetic ties to aggression, anxiety, and fear, all of which impact personality disorders. As well, childhood trauma can lead to the development of personality disorders. For instance, researchers found a tie between the number and type of childhood traumas and the type of personality disorder that develops. Verbal abuse is another risk factor that impacts the development of personality disorders such as borderline, narcissistic, obsessive-compulsive, or paranoid personality disorders. High reactivity, such as sensitivity to light, noise, texture, or other senses in the environment, are being studied to see its ties to the development of personality disorders. And finally, peers also play a large role, such as through strong relationships that lead to negative influences. Next, we will look over treatment options for personality disorders. Treatment options provided will vary based on the type of personality disorder, its severity, and particular circumstances. It is common that team approaches will be offered to ensure that all needs are met. Some options include psychotherapy and medication. Psychotherapy will provide the opportunity to be educated on the condition while discussing mood, feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. As well, coping methods will be worked on to assist in managing stress and the personality disorder. There are several types of psychotherapy that can be used to benefit individuals. Additionally, there are medications. While there are no medications that are prescribed specifically for personality disorders, there are some that may be offered, including antidepressants, which can be used for depressed mood, anger, impulsivity, irritability, or hopelessness, mood stabilizers, which can help manage mood swings, antipsychotic medications, which may be offered if symptoms include losing touch with reality, and finally anti-anxiety medications, which assist with anxiety, agitation, or insomnia, but they can also increase impulsive behaviors occasionally. There are various misconceptions surrounding personality disorders, and we will take a couple of minutes to deconstruct them. This is an important step in better understanding the mental health disabilities and deconstructing the stigma around it, as these misconceptions spread misinformation and can stereotype individuals. The first misconception is personality disorders are character flaws. This is untrue. Personality disorders are health conditions that result from biological and environmental factors. They can result in patterns of behaviors and thinking that are rigid and lead to anxieties. However, a character flaw is a limitation in someone's personality. They do not impact individuals to the same extent as personality disorders. And while everyone can have character flaws, not everyone will develop a personality disorder. People with personality disorders are manipulative. Manipulative behaviors do not equate to personality disorders. There are particular motivations that can lead to manipulative behaviors for people living with a personality disorder. For instance, in the case of borderline personality disorder, for individuals who have not felt safe in the past with asking for what is needed, manipulation may feel like the only way they can have their needs met. As well, individuals are often not aware that they are being manipulative. Rather, they are showing behaviors that they have adapted in order to have their needs met. Another misconception is people living with personality disorders are selfish. Selfishness is a personality trait that anyone can have from time to time, but it does not equate to personality disorders. While individuals with narcissistic and antisocial personality disorder can show selfish behaviors at higher rates, they are only two of the existing personality disorders. However, with that said, individuals with personality disorders can demonstrate selfishness just like those without a personality disorder can demonstrate selfishness. The final misconception is people living with personality disorders are dangerous. This is untrue. Those living with personality disorders are no more dangerous than anyone else. This generalization perpetuates the harmful belief that mental health conditions can create risks to others. This can isolate individuals and perpetuate stigma. Coping with personality disorders. There are various types of personality disorders, and there are also plenty of different ways to cope with them. While people may find some coping methods work better than others, we will look over some coping strategies that may be helpful. The first being exercise. While mental health is not dependent on physical health, exercise has been shown to help with anxiety, depression, and stress. Educate yourself. Learning about the particular personality disorder can make it appear less overwhelming. Knowledge is power, and it can assist in finding proper supports and coping strategies. Support groups is another coping strategy and can help in feeling less alone, as it is a group of individuals with similar challenges and lived experiences. And finally, journaling. Writing down thoughts can be beneficial. It can also help in acknowledging any patterns or triggers, which then can be managed. Supporting someone living with a personality disorder. There are various ways that individuals can support someone living with a personality disorder. It can be difficult to understand exactly what they may need. However, there are many positive ways to support them. Remain patient, judgment-free, and compassionate. It can be beneficial to understand their thought processes. This can be done through listening and validating what they say. However, it is important to do so in a way that remains judgment-free. Educate yourself. Learning more about the particular personality disorder can assist in understanding signs and symptoms, as well as how to best support someone. And finally, most important is self-care. It is important to take care of your own mental health. This can be done by establishing boundaries and taking time for yourself. Supporting a client. There are various tips that can be beneficial in supporting clients with personality disorders, which can include staying calm. This can be important as it allows a client to mirror this behavior eventually. It's also important to remain empathetic, as many with personality disorders can feel isolated and as though nobody would understand. Empathy is important. For instance, statements such as, "That must be hard," or "I see how frustrating that can be very validating. And finally, focus on choices now. Focusing on the now can be beneficial as it can break down all the options that exist and the potential consequences of each so that individuals can make the best choice. Now we'll go over resources. The most important thing to take away from this video is that there are supports and help available. For an immediate mental health crisis, reach out to a crisis line for support. For non-immediate mental health support, a useful resource is For a Safer Space. For a Safer Space is a nonprofit that offers accessible and inclusive mental health care. Visit the website for more information if you would like to reach out for support. To conclude, we will go over some key takeaways. A personality disorder is a mental health disability where someone has firm and maladaptive patterns of thinking, functioning, and behaving. There are various types of personality disorders which are grouped into 3 clusters. Cluster A personality disorders include paranoid, schizoid, and schizotypal personality disorders. Cluster B personality disorders include antisocial, borderline, histrionic, and narcissistic personality disorders. Cluster C personality disorders include avoidant, dependent, and obsessive-compulsive personality disorders. There are a few risk factors for personality disorders which can be grouped into genetic and environmental factors. As well, treatment options include psychotherapy and medication. There are various misconceptions about personality disorders which harm those living with them, as they perpetuate stigma and misinformation. There are ways that individuals living with personality disorders can cope with mental health disabilities. Similarly, individuals can support others living with a personality disorder in a variety of ways. Finally, practitioners can take steps to best support clients with personality disorders. That concludes this presentation on personality disorders. Thank you for watching.